When your first game in an established franchise is from the middle of the series, you risk a few things. Whether or not you're going to like it, whether or not you're going to understand it, and whether or not the fanbase will welcome you if you choose to engage with them. I don't have to name any examples of this, as I'm sure all of you can name at least one that applies to you or somebody you know. Monster Hunter is that game for me. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is one of my favorite video games of all time, because it introduced me to a series that I have come to enjoy, a series that would be there when I need some form of mental grounding. Much like the first video of this channel, I hope to bring you on a journey as I talk about a game from my past and discuss whether or not it works in the modern day. I need to iterate that this is not a review, simply a rather biased look at a game that I enjoy, and since it isn't a review, I probably won't mention everything, so if I miss something that you wish I'd talked about, please mention it in the comments. All discussion is welcome. Without any further ado, I'd like to welcome you to my shop. Back in 2013, I was introduced to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate via a YouTube channel that I used to watch. I can't quite remember which one, but I can tell you that I was sold. The idea of a game where you hunt big-ass monsters to craft big weapons and armor to hunt even bigger monsters sounded like, and still sounds like, one of the coolest things I ever heard. So I bought the 3DS version and I was fucking terrible. I'm not even kidding. I was so bad I triple carded the first time I fought a great Jaggy. Eventually I got to my first Baroth and I quit. I stopped playing, but why? Baroth is one of the easiest monsters and very much the easiest brute wyvern in the entire series, but here's the thing. I was introduced to Monster Hunter as a co-op game only thanks to the channel that first introduced me to it. Combine that with the fact that I came from games that usually had health bars for all the enemies and bosses, or failing that, some kind of rule of three system that can be found in platformers or Zelda games. My point is, even with some of the hardest games I played, I still had some form of visual feedback that let me know that I was winning. In Monster Hunter, all I had was panting and drooling from the monsters I was fighting. Maybe I'd see them start limping, but I didn't know how much health they had. Combine that with the fact that I thought I wasn't even supposed to be fighting these beasts alone, and you could probably understand why I grew too afraid to continue. So I didn't. I did rebuy the game for the Wii U to try out the co-op, and yeah, sure, that was fun, but I still didn't get very far. Now, fast forward 9 years, 2022. At this point, my outlook on the Monster Hunter series is completely different. I played World, Generations Ultimate, and Rise, and I've gotten rather far in all three of them. I knew these monsters were mortal, and more importantly, that they were killable by myself. Baroth, gone. Ludroth, gone. Gobel, gone. Raytheon, gone. Lagiacrus. Lagiacrus. So for those of you who don't know the story of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, a small fishing community called Moga Village is being assailed by numerous earthquakes, which is being blamed on this beast, and though it turns out Lagiacrus isn't the culprit, I associate him so much with this game for a number of reasons. 1. Outside of Generations Ultimate and various spin-offs, Lagiacrus has yet to appear in a single Monster Hunter game after this. And 2, he is looked at as the ultimate goal for me to wash away the shame from 9 years ago when I was too coddled and scared to play through 3 Ultimate. And so, on my stream, where I took part in my Hunt for Affiliate event, I fought him, and I won. I drove him off the first time and captured him the second time. I was victorious. 9 years of shame. Completely gone. I felt invigorated. As you can probably tell, my history with this game is a bit different than Mario Sunshine because of how inconsistent it was. Fear and a lack of faith in myself made me too afraid to go back to 3 Ultimate, and for nearly a decade I let it rot as a piece of downloaded software on my Wii U. Do I wish I had worked up the courage and skill to play through it back in 2013? Yeah, I think I would have fallen in love with the series if I did. I know so because, well, I already have today. Do I regret taking so long to actually work up the courage and skill? Not at all, because it gives me a unique story of growth and self-improvement that I wouldn't trade for the world. Many people have different interpretations as to what Monster Hunter is. Some see it as a grindy looter where your goal is to raise your stats up high so you can, alone or with fellow hunters, hunt the biggest monsters. To others, it's a speedrunning sweat fest where you have to learn the patterns of your prey and the mechanics of your weapon to beat them in under 5 minutes. To an admittedly smaller group of people, it's a series about becoming one with nature, hunting out of necessity and never for sport. All of these perceptions are not wrong, because video games are what you get from it. What I get from it is self-improvement through struggle. You might lose a hunt against a specific monster again and again and again. You might even come to curse this game for it. However, the more you learn about the mechanics of the game, the uses of the items, the movements of the monster, the benefits and disadvantages of your weapons, and utilizing that knowledge, monsters you once saw as unbeatable become trivial. And when that happens, I lose myself in dopamine. Now that the personal story is out of the way, it's time to see whether or not 3 Ultimate is still worth playing today, and oh boy. So I feel like I should apologize, because I lied a bit at the beginning of this video. I said I was going to be biased the entire time and not really give any objective critiques, and I think so far, that has been true. However, I can't in good faith recommend this game to any baby hunters without giving a few massive disclaimers. If you've come from Monster Hunter World or Rise, or even some of the latter classic style games like 4 Ultimate and Generations Ultimate, then you need to understand some things. This game is janky. Not quite as janky as Freedom Unite or Monster Hunter 2 Dusk, God forbid, but compared to the level of mobility and streamlining found in newer titles, this game still has some major jank. So let's start with some of the basics. Mounting of any kind is not in this game. In fact, aerial attacks of any degree are not in this game at all. This was before the Charge Blade or Insect Glaive existed. This was before Hunter Arts. This was before Sword and Shield oils. This was before fast travel between camps. This was before more than one camp. This was before full access to your full inventory at camp. This was during the time of paintballs. If you started with Rise, this was before hot and cold drinks were taken away. This was when all the areas on the map were separated by many loading screens and there was no wire bug. This was when you had to go back to your house to change equipment. This was before materials magically teleported to your larger inventory. This was before you materialized pickaxes to take out your ass and mine for ore. And lastly, because this is a doozy, this was the time of underwater combat. Now, I know I'm one of the weird homunculi who actually enjoyed underwater combat in 3 Ultimate. Something about 360-degree attack ranges, especially with a greatsword, really pleases me. My favorite monster in the entire series, Lagiacrus, is actually preferable to fight underwater because of the fact I have more places to attack him without needing to knock his ass over. However, I am a bit weird, as mentioned before, and I understand that to some people, underwater combat probably feels like groping a cheese grater. Hell, I'll admit that fighting Cadius was annoying, repetitive, and unengaging chore brought on by some annoying and incredibly janky swimming controls. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not flat out saying you shouldn't play this game if you like Monster Hunter. I think it could provide a bit of satisfaction for some of you who feel like Rise or World are too easy or too simple. However, if you are somebody who plays World or Rise casually and you're simply curious about some of the older games, then all I can do is advise that you tread carefully. The game is on 3DS and Wii U, and considering how much of a pain 3DS can be to emulate, and I still have not tried to emulate the Wii U, that means the only quote-unquote simple way to play it is by buying the console it was on, as well as the game itself. Considering that Nintendo's rancid hardware practices means that doing so costs a pretty penny, well, again, all I can do is reiterate that you should tread carefully. While I'd love to see more people play the older Monster Hunter titles, and while I do kind of prefer Monster Hunter without some of the streamlining found in modern games, I'm not blind to why Capcom streamlined these games in the first place. I get why Monster Hunter World is Capcom's best-selling game, more so than any Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, Mega Man, and Marvel vs. Capcom game. They took an addictive and exciting formula and trimmed out all the stuff that all but the most masochistic, or in my case autistic people, would find annoying. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is my favorite in the entire series, and I maintain that. But I also care enough about some of your sanity to not give it a blind recommendation. There's a lot to enjoy, but there's also a lot to curse, so I can't blame you if you choose to give this a skip. Alright, so I'm gonna say this now, I have had a lot of fun making this video. Just being able to play through Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate again. Well, actually, really, I'm playing it through the first time. But yeah, I can just say I had a lot of fun making this video, and I want to thank my friend MK Khan for allowing me to use the music you are listening to right now. Link to his Bandcamp and his Twitter will be in the description below. Also, something that I kind of wanted to mention is I know I didn't really talk much about the multiplayer in this game, but that's mostly due to the fact that even though there are still servers and there are still people playing multiplayer, it's, let's be honest, the Wii U online service, I could see that going the way of the dodo very soon, so I'm just kind of being cautious about that. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody who watched this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Before I go, actually, I wanted to mention I'm actually doing the Hunt for Affiliate event still on Twitch at twitch.tv/fantasy_phantom, where I will only be playing Monster Hunter games such as Rise, such as Ultimate, such as World, such as 3 Ultimate, I guess is what I actually meant to say, and Generations Ultimate, and even Stories, and who knows what else. But yeah, I would very much appreciate it if you guys showed up and helped me get to affiliates. Hey, you know, no pressure, but I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Remember to come again soon. Bye.